You won't believe this, but a $500 drone just made a $15 million Russian helicopter look like a paper plane. Straight up, that's not clickbait, that's the reality on the battlefield right now. In the early hours, Ukrainian forces launched a small, commercially purchased drone armed with minimal explosives. Within minutes, it locked onto the rotor system of a Russian attack helicopter hovering near a contested zone and detonated. The result? Complete destruction. No pilot, no chopper, just shredded metal and smoke rising into the sky. Military analysts are stunned. Experts who've spent decades studying air defense admit that the simplicity and low cost of this drone strike is forcing a total rethink in aerial warfare strategy. Why spend tens of millions on cutting-edge aircraft if a cheap, nimble UAV can neutralize it in seconds? And here's the kicker. The attack was not just a lucky hit. It was precise, calculated, and executed using off-the-shelf tech combined with real-time intelligence. Witnesses on the ground described the moment as surreal. One Ukrainian soldier, speaking anonymously, said it was like throwing a rock and hitting a battleship. Russian sources have confirmed the loss of the helicopter but are keeping operational details under wraps, fusing speculation that more unmanned attacks are likely. Analysts point out that the cost-to-damage ratio is insane, $500 versus $15 million, and that's before you even count potential loss of strategic advantage and morale. The incident is already making waves internationally. Defense contractors are scrambling to develop counter-drone systems, while military strategists are questioning decades of assumptions about air superiority. The use of inexpensive drones as force multipliers is proving to be a game-changer, and not in favor of the party that spent millions on the aircraft. The destruction of the Russian helicopter was not an isolated accident, nor was it the result of random battlefield chaos. Preliminary battlefield assessments indicate that the Ukrainian drone unit had been conducting surveillance in the area for several days prior to the strike. The drone used in the attack was reportedly a modified commercial quadcopter platform, upgraded with a reinforced frame, extended battery capacity, and a small but precisely positioned explosive charge designed to target vulnerable components of rotary wing aircraft. According to military sources familiar with drone warfare tactics, helicopters are particularly vulnerable during low-altitude hover operations. When hovering or moving slowly, attack helicopters rely on mobility and onboard countermeasures to detect larger threats such as anti-aircraft missiles. However, small drones present a radically different threat profile. Their radar signature is minimal, acoustic footprint is low, and thermal output is limited compared to conventional missiles. This makes detection significantly more difficult, especially in an active combat zone saturated with electronic noise. In this incident, the drone reportedly approached from above and slightly behind the helicopter, an angle that reduces pilot visibility and complicates onboard defensive systems' response time. The explosive payload was aimed at the rotor assembly area. Even minor damage to rotor blades or the rotor hub can result in catastrophic mechanical imbalance. Once structural integrity is compromised mid-flight, recovery becomes nearly impossible. The helicopter reportedly lost stability within seconds, followed by rapid descent and impact. The model helicopter has not been officially confirmed by Russian authorities, but defense analysts speculate it may have been a variant of a modern Russian attack helicopter platform deployed in forward operational zones. Aircraft in this category typically cost between $12 million and $20 million, depending on configuration, armament, and avionics systems. Beyond the financial cost of the aircraft itself, the operational loss includes pilot training investment, mission capability, and potential classified onboard equipment. From a tactical standpoint, this strike highlights a growing asymmetry in modern warfare. Traditional air superiority has historically relied on expensive hardware, advanced avionics, layered air defenses, and highly trained crews. The introduction of low-cost drones shifts the equation by dramatically reducing the financial barrier to inflicting high-value losses.
When a device that costs less than a standard military rifle system can neutralize a multi-million-dollar aircraft, strategic calculations inevitably change. Electronic warfare experts note that counter-drone systems exist, including radio frequency jammers and short-range air defense platforms. However, these systems are often optimized for fixed installations or larger unmanned aerial vehicles. Small, agile drones operating at low altitude and in cluttered environments can exploit gaps in these defenses. Additionally, the speed of deployment is a factor. A small drone unit can be transported in a backpack, launched within minutes, and guided in real time using commercial communication tools modified for battlefield use. The psychological effect is equally significant. Helicopter crews operating in contested airspace must now consider threats not only from shoulder-fired missiles, but from nearly invisible airborne devices approaching from unpredictable vectors. This introduces additional stress and operational hesitation, potentially limiting close air support effectiveness. Even a slight reduction in confidence can alter mission tempo and battlefield outcomes.
Following the confirmed destruction of the Russian helicopter, military observers began shifting their focus from the immediate tactical success to the broader strategic consequences. While a single aircraft loss does not determine the outcome of a war, repeated incidents of this nature create cumulative operational strain. Air assets are not only expensive to purchase, they are complex to maintain, logistically demanding, and reliant on secure operating environments. When even low-cost drones can threaten them effectively, the entire structure of air deployment planning must adapt. Russian military command is expected to reassess helicopter flight patterns in contested zones. Low-altitude hover operations, often used for reconnaissance or close air support, may now require additional escort, higher flight ceilings, or preemptive electronic countermeasure sweeps. Each adjustment increases operational cost and reduces tactical flexibility. Helicopters are designed for rapid response and mobility. Imposing restrictions diminishes one of their key advantages. The financial imbalance remains one of the most striking aspects of this event. A $500 drone destroying a $15 million helicopter is not simply a dramatic headline, it represents a severe cost asymmetry. If replicated consistently, such exchanges place disproportionate economic pressure on the side deploying high-value assets. Sustaining repeated high-cost losses forces difficult procurement decisions and budget reallocations, particularly during prolonged conflict. Military training institutions worldwide are already incorporating lessons from ongoing drone engagements. Traditional pilot training emphasizes missile evasion, radar detection awareness, and anti-aircraft artillery avoidance. The emergence of micro-drone threats introduces a new threat category. Pilots must now consider threats that are quieter, smaller, and more maneuverable than most historical airborne weapons. This requires updated threat recognition systems and potentially redesigned cockpit alert mechanisms. On the Ukrainian side, the success reinforces the strategic value of decentralized drone units. Unlike conventional air forces, which require runways, hangars, and extensive logistical infrastructure, small drone teams operate with minimal footprint. They can relocate quickly, launch from improvised positions, and integrate real-time intelligence gathered from ground observers or satellite feeds. This agility complicates enemy targeting efforts and enhances survivability. The technological accessibility factor cannot be overlooked. Many components used in commercial drones, cameras, stabilization systems, navigation software, are widely available in civilian markets. When combined with battlefield innovation, these components can be adapted into effective strike platforms. This trend suggests that future conflicts may see even greater integration of commercially derived technology into military operations. Defense manufacturers are likely to accelerate research into active protection systems specifically designed for rotary wing aircraft. Concepts under discussion include automated laser-based drone neutralizers, high-speed fragmentation countermeasures, and onboard interceptor drones capable of deploying from helicopters themselves. However, integrating such systems to existing airframes presents engineering and cost challenges. The psychological dimension continues to evolve as well. Helicopter crews operating in contested airspace may adopt more conservative engagement strategies, potentially limiting close air support missions. Ground units reliant on air cover could experience operational delays or altered support timing. Even incremental hesitation can influence battlefield momentum. The destruction of the helicopter is now being examined not only as a battlefield event, but as a signal with economic and industrial consequences. Modern military aviation operates within a tightly connected ecosystem of manufacturers, subcontractors, maintenance contractors, and state defense budgets. The loss of a single aircraft represents more than hardware damage. It triggers maintenance reviews, procurement recalculations, insurance assessments, and operational audits. When the loss is caused by a device costing a fraction of 1% of the aircraft's value, the imbalance attracts global attention. Defense industry analysts note that helicopter production lines are calibrated around predictable attrition rates. These rates historically account for mechanical failure, combat losses from traditional anti-aircraft systems, and operational wear. The rapid integration of low-cost drones introduces a new attrition variable that is difficult to forecast. If small unmanned systems consistently exploit vulnerabilities, manufacturers may be pressured to redesign structural protections, sensor arrays, and onboard countermeasures. Insurance and risk assessment frameworks are also affected. While combat losses are typically state-managed rather than commercially insured, the economic modeling behind military budgeting relies on calculated risk exposure. When the probability of loss increases due to widely available technology, long-term fleet sustainability projections shift. Governments may face higher maintenance allocations or accelerated modernization cycles. On the Russian side, replacing a destroyed helicopter requires time, industrial capacity, and secure transport logistics. Even if production lines remain active, wartime supply chains face constraints related to components, electronics, and specialized alloys. Any disruption in these chains compounds the impact of each aircraft loss. Additionally, trained pilots represent a significant investment. Years of flight training, tactical preparation, and operational experience cannot be rapidly replaced. Ukrainian forces, meanwhile, are likely analyzing the strike for replicability. The question is not whether one drone can destroy one helicopter, but whether systematic deployment can generate sustained pressure. Drone units may expand targeting priorities to include transport helicopters, supply convoys, radar systems, or fuel depots. Each successful engagement reinforces operational confidence and encourages further innovation. The escalation risk associated with drone warfare also deserves attention. As unmanned attacks increase, countermeasures may intensify. Electronic warfare systems could expand jamming ranges, potentially affecting civilian communications infrastructure in contested regions. High-powered signal disruption tools may interfere with navigation systems or commercial broadcasting. The overlap between military and civilian technological ecosystems complicates containment. International military observers are particularly focused on counter-drone doctrine development. Several NATO and non-NATO states have invested heavily in anti-drone solutions over the past decade, but field performance varies. Detecting small quadcopters against complex terrain backgrounds remains technically challenging. Radar systems optimized for aircraft may overlook low-altitude micro-targets. Visual detection requires rapid automated image processing supported by artificial intelligence.